Hey everybody, it's Goblin and welcome back to another Premier Draft of Duskmourn. These are the flashback draft format for this week, and they're here to give us some practice for the upcoming Arena Direct this weekend. That's going to be Duskmourn Sealed. So since it is going to be sealed instead of draft, it's a little less important to get really good practice at drafting the format well, and just more important to refamiliarize ourselves with the cards and the general gameplay and archetype of the format, so we're ready for that when Sealed comes this weekend. So excited to hop back into the set. It's a pretty nice one of the better sets of last year, and it's got a lot of really cool mechanics and archetypes going on, and we'll see if we can't play some pretty sweet stuff as we get into our pack one, pick one. So without further ado, let's grab a Fear of Isolation here. That is my favorite card in this pack. There are some other fun cards. The Centipede is really flexible with that fixing for any green deck. The Altanac is quite fun if you can get the triple Say Its Name to potentially cast it for free, and it's also just a solid top-end card in general, but I think Fear of Isolation just has a lot of great synergy in this format. There are a lot of cards with the Eerie mechanic in blue, and Eerie is going to give you benefits whenever an enchantment enters the battlefield under your control or whenever you unlock a room. So with Fear of Isolation, you can pick up any of your other enchantments, get ready to recast them, get some more value off of them. So pretty big fan of Fear of Isolation. Now for pick two, I don't usually want to just start with Ethereal Armor this early, but Blue-White Enchantments is one of the strongest archetypes, and this can be pretty strong in there. I mean, slapping it onto a Fear of Isolation. These two cards alone make a 4/5 flying first strike, which is pretty nasty. The biggest issue with Ethereal Armor is the same issue as most auras, where if your opponent uses a removal spell in response, they're killing two of your cards with just one of their spells. You're definitely down in the card economy there, but I think the pack is weak enough to still kind of lean that direction here. I'm not a massive fan of Fear of Imposters or Twist Reality. Twist Reality, I think, is actually solid, and Tunnel Surveyor is solid as well, but Ethereal Armor can be really busted if we can go for the full blue-white here. And that's a pick three Inquisitive Glimmer, so it's going to be a very easy pick there, trying to head in this direction. This is a super powerful pack, though. All three of these are premium uncommons for their respective archetypes. Blue-white obviously wants to cast a lot of enchantments. The green-black archetype wants to have a really high delirium, so you want to fill up your graveyard a lot. This is great at that by surveilling and filling up the grave and giving you a payoff for having a bunch of card types in grave. And then the Midnight Mayhem, Boros is just aggro. Boros is always aggro. But in this format, Boros is aggro with creatures with power 2 or less. So spitting out a wide board of smaller creatures is going to be beneficial for anything that cares about those power 2 or less creatures. So all three of these cards play excellently, but obviously we're closest to the blue-white one. For pick four, now we might have to speculate off color. I think Living Phone is a little too high variance because it can definitely miss on its death trigger, and then it's a very bad card. A 3-mana 2/1 is horrific. Cold Healer is pretty filler. It's a 3-mana 3/3 that has lifelink maybe half the time, even in a dedicated blue-white enchantments deck. Whereas Wickerfolk Thresher, Painter's Studio, Defaced Gallery, these are quite powerful off-color cards. The Thresher is a 4-mana 5/4 for any deck, and if you can get Delirium, it draws you a card every time it attacks, which is wild. The Painter Studio Defaced Gallery is a draw 2 plus a buff the board. There's lots of great ways to utilize these cards that aren't just super clear up front, like the Rakdos decks can sacrifice enchantments for value. The blue-red decks could pick up the Painter Studio and recast it to draw 2 more cards. The Wickerfolk Thresher can get milled to give you 2 card types to Delirium. Just a lot of great stuff going on with these cards. I think Painter Studio Defaced Gallery is much more likely to work with our first 3 picks, though, because if I get cut off of blue, a Boros aggro deck can use this well, and if I get cut off of white, a blue-red rooms deck can use this well. The Wickerfolk Thresher does not really fit with blue or white. The Delirium decks in the format are Gruul, green-red, and Golgari, green-black. Pick 5, we're once again getting cut off of all the enchantments, sadly, but we've got a pretty great aggressive red creature, a 2-mana 3/2 with extra upside. When it dies, you get a treasure token, and it's 2 card types for Delirium. I like Piggy Bank quite a lot. Could take that here. Having potentially a Boros off-ramp, although we're only 1 card deep into white if you don't count our blue-white spell, so potentially not even that. We could just be on a full pivot here. Yeah, red looks to be one of the more open colors. Just Delirium aggro stuff looking great here. All the cheap, aggressive artifact creatures that fill 2 types for Delirium are coming decently well here. The Peer Past the Veil, I'm not even super excited about this card when I am green-red, so I'm not gonna take it when I don't know my second color yet. Pick 7. I like Meat Locker Drowned Diner actually a lot in blue-whites. I don't love aggressive creatures like Piggy Bank and Percussionist in blue-red decks, though, so it feels awkward diving deeper into blue and having blue and red be our most well-represented colors here when multiple of my red spells aren't really going to work well in a blue-red deck, but I think that's kind of where we're at in this draft pod. I think Meat Locker is easily the best card here. Defiant Survivors, pretty high variance, but if you do manage to get a survival trigger with it, it is kind of nasty. So that's a speculative choice as well. Pick 8 Centipede's kind of wild. Maybe we have to pivot towards green-red Delirium aggro here. We'll see. Pick 9, Ragged Playmate is fine. This is a very filler pack overall, so just take a filler card. Pick 10, pretty filler pack again. I'll actually take the Peculiar Lighthouse here. I just do not think in limited, countering a spell, but giving your opponent a 2/2 back is generally good at all. Much like how all the like destroy a creature, give your opponent a 1/1, destroy a creature, give your opponent a 2/2 spell. I just never like those cards. Pick 11, Branch Snappers, cute. You could manifest into it. I mean, we're at the dredges of the pack here. We're at pick 11 through pick 14, so I'm not saying Branch Snapper is good, but it has some cute uses, potentially. A little more interesting than the other couple cards that were left in that pack. Yeah, I still don't know for sure where we're at here. We're probably not blue-white. We only got one white card the whole draft, so white does not seem particularly open. Feel like green-red is going to be the more open direction here. We got a lot of solid red aggro creatures. Like pick 4 through 7 around that range. There is a Bookworm towards green-blue, and I think those colors are open enough to try to go that direction. We got one Centipede pick 8. We did not wheel our first Centipede, so somebody did take one before we could get it pick 9. There's definitely other green drafters, but not a ton of them, I don't think. Bookworm is potentially super, super strong, but I think red is the most clearly open color in this pod, so I'm going to take Fear being hunted. Pick 2. Mediocre pack here. Expanse is mediocre fixing for anything. Torment's a really good removal spell, but we're 0 black cards in right now, so it might be better to take like Diversion Specialist, which is fine in any red deck, but only really good if we're Rakdos. So it's not super exciting, but it's the only card that's definitely on color, overtaking just a second Ragged Playmate. Yeah, I mean, it's a really weak pack. There's Fungus, Specialist, and Torment as the only real options. So it's really Specialist or Torment here. I would rather just take Specialist. Alright, Wildfire Wickerfolk. Gruul Delirium Aggro is definitely a thing we can do in this pod. Take that over Centipede here. Get the Great Hasting aggressive creature. Turn Inside Out is a very nice combat trick for these decks. +3/+0 means your creature is going to trade up into almost anything, and then it replaces itself with a 2/2 body, and you're casting an instant, so you're putting an instant in your grave, you're manifesting Dread, so you're milling another card. You are really, really helping get Delirium with this. Usually, you're putting an instant in your grave, you're putting a creature in your grave, because whatever you cast this on is going to die, and you're milling a land or something. This is usually like 3 out of 4 card types for Delirium, so I think Turn Inside Out is particularly good in Gruul, but it's pretty good in any aggro deck in this format. Pick 5, Bashful Beastie is quite solid. 5 mana, 5/4. When it dies, manifest Dread, so it replaces itself when it dies. Good top end spell for these decks. Glimmerlight is fine. I like it better in the Eerie kind of decks. Charred Foyer Warp Space always feels too slow for the format, especially when you are a particularly aggressive deck. It's kind of missing a home in this format because the more controlling decks don't love it, because you could end up exiling a counter spell or a removal spell at the wrong time, and that's really bad. And the more aggressive decks don't love it because you're spending 4 mana to not impact the board at all for that turn when you really got to keep the pressure on against the grindier decks. It doesn't play particularly great in the set, which is why you tend to see it go, pick 5, pick 6. Pick 6 here, this is an easy Glassworks, 3 mana, 4 damage removal spell. I've got pretty much no removal right now. Fear of Being Hunted sort of counts, but it's not really targeted removal, so Glassworks is a monumentally high pick for us there. Pick 7, House Cartographer is fine, Norn's fine. These are both really filler. I'll take the Cartographer here. It has higher upside in the positions where you get lucky and it gets to attack without dying. There's another Fear Being Hunted. Ticket Booth is not horrible in this archetype. I like it a lot in Rakdos, but it's also somewhat playable in Gruul because, again, you're filling Delirium with the Manifest Dread ability, and getting that double strike in the late game can be a good finisher. But I think Fear Being Hunted is the more fun card. Pseudo removal that puts an enchantment and creature into our grave. And if we manage to pick up any most valuable Slayers, those are really nice synergy pieces to go alongside it. They are a 4 mana 2/4. Whenever you attack, one of your creatures gets +1/+0 first strike till end of turn. So if you play this turn 3, play the most valuable Slayer turn 4, you're attacking with a 5/2 first strike that has to be blocked, and you're just eating your opponent's board. It is so rude. So certainly on the lookout for most valuable Slayer in this final pack, as well as removal spells. I think that's all we're really missing. Most valuable Slayers and removal spells. This format is quite bomb heavy in my opinion, which is what keeps it from being an all-timer for me. So that is the other issue with our deck. We just did not get any good rares really at all. So we could also just get blown out by some bombs. So that's another thing we're looking for in the final pack. And sadly, while we did find a bomb, it's a black spell. We could splash in the Impending off a single black. That might still just be worth it. Here we have a Centipede no matter what. Just need to take a couple more pieces of fixing. I'm missing a Manifest Dread here as a pretty good way to fuel Delirium. Or Trial of Agony. This is a pretty mediocre removal spell because it always kills the second best creature they have. Your opponent gets to choose which one dies. Bashful Beastie is a solid pickup, but I think those are all weak enough to speculate on this Overlord. Just find a single black source to Impending that thing. Okay, pick 2. Okay, that is just bad. There's the most valuable Slayer to go with our Fear of Being Hunted. That's pretty exciting, but I'm also so low on removal that I wouldn't be surprised if Impossible Inferno is technically the right pick here and what we're really supposed to do, but I can't resist that. We have 2 copies of the Fear of Being Hunted, so any game that we get this alongside the Slayer is just going to be awesome, and that's going to happen a little more often with 2 copies than 1. Pick 3. If it weren't for Overlord of the Baelmerk here, honestly, I would not mind taking Patchwork Beastie. This is a great aggressive card for Delirium decks. It fuels your Delirium really well by milling you each turn, and if it ends up in your grave, putting an artifact creature in grave. And then, of course, whenever you have Delirium, you got a 1 mana 3/3. So Beastie is genuinely, I think, really good in these decks to where it might be better in the average Gruul Delirium deck than Enduring Vitality, but Enduring Vitality gives us additional fixing for the Overlord splash. So I'm going to take Vitality over the Beastie. No removal in this pack. We take a Wicker Folk. Another Bookworm, dang. Razor Trap Gorge, probably. Moldering Gem is also not bad. Use this, grab a Swamp. And then we've got a 6-drop 5/5 creature later in the game with the Weight Room. It's pretty fine. But we would be, tapping out turn 3, not impacting the board, which isn't really where we want to be. We're really aggressive here, so I'm just going to grab a land and swap out a mountain for Razor Trap Gorge. Pick 6. I don't think we're playing anything this pack. Yeah, Inspector's pretty inconsistent in here. I'll just take the rare. Get some gems for the collection. I mean, I might have to take some pretty mediocre filler. Because I do need like 2 more playables before we have a whole deck. We need at least 23 non-land cards. Wow. I'm real sad I did not end up in green-blue here. Not that, again, there was a whole ton of good blue. There was an okay amount of good green. We took all that. It feels like green-blue as the color pair was super open, but there were definitely blue drafters and there were definitely green drafters. A little tragic. Maybe we splash in a Final Vengeance. You know what? I've got a lot of creatures, not a lot of non-creature spells. We could probably just play Grab the Prize. A little bit of card selection, card draw. Seems fine. I guess Overlord kind of counts as a non-creature because we're never casting it for the double black. We're impending it, so it won't be a creature for quite some time. Pretty happy to wheel the Beastie there. Not super happy about this pack. I guess Frantic Strength is kind of funny with Fear being hunted. I mean, I've got a massive creature count, so some more options in the non-creature spells feels viable here. I really am not a fan of Cryptid Inspector in this deck. I'll take the found footage. Have the chance using that for some Delirium. And then there's that Moldering Gem super late for one final piece of fixing. All right. Deck looks fine. Not super excited with how this draft went. I don't think there's anywhere, any color pair we could have been in that would have been really good. I mean, we could have had multiple bookworms, but again, I don't remember too much other like crazy action running around in green blue. Maybe if we were just like a really splashy, really multicolored deck with green at the core, you know, we could have had a couple Moldering Gems, a couple Centipedes, and the Enduring Vitality, and we just like splashed around everywhere. Could have slammed in an Overlord in a deck that also had double Bookworm. That's probably the strongest spot we could have ended up. But this draft pod was pretty hard to read. Maybe that's just because of unfamiliarity with the format recently. It's been obviously a long time since I have drafted it, but I don't know. I think we ended up in a fine spot for how kind of nebulous the draft was. So I will take it. We've got to cut 4 cards here to run a 17 land deck. Again, we're at 20 creatures now, not even 19, so probably cut mostly creatures here. A few creatures and a spell, probably. Most filler creatures, what do we have? Burrower, Playmates. The Playmates are cute with the Cartographer, maybe, if we're super lucky and get those two together. It's kind of the only thing that Playmates really do. They do also add to Delirium, I suppose. Artifact plus creature and grave. I like all the 3-drops. Cautious Survivors, definitely the most filler 4s. Branch Snappers, pretty filler at the top end. These are the potential creature cuts. Non-creature cuts here. One of the 2 card draw spells probably, Grab this Prize or Found Footage. Not a massive fan of Frantic Strength. I have very, very rarely played it. I wouldn't be surprised if this is the first time I've even put it in a deck, but I think it is fine in here when I have a really high creature count and the fear of being hunted to slap it onto potentially. So I'm going to run the Frantic Strength here. We'll see how it plays out for us and cut 4 of these spells. So let's just go. Yeah, I don't mind cutting both the 4s. Cut the Burrower, keep the Playmates for Delirium. And yeah, we'll cut one of these draw spells. Let's see, discard 1, draw 2. Maybe deal 2 to opponent, or surveil 2, draw 1. Guaranteed put an artifact in grave. Even without found footage, though, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 artifact creatures in the deck, and I have 0 sorceries outside of Grab the Prize. Yeah, I kind of think Grab the Prize is just a lot more valuable to adding Delirium to this deck. We can run the Branch Snapper there, because we do have some 5s and 6s. Probably just 1 Swamp in this deck. Probably another Mountain. Yeah, looks like it. I guess we're on 9 red sources, 7 green this way. So I have to go 8-8 split or have 2 more mountains than forests, which is awkward. I mean, I've got a lot of important red here. I have double red fear being hunted and stuff, but I do have double green enduring vitality. Plus green gives me centipede, vitality, and moldering gem. That can grab another red. I'm gonna 50-50. No, I do have a Forest Cycler. It's kind of like 8th green source. Yeah, the mana's a little awkward, but I am gonna lean pretty deep on red here and go 9-7 on it. 2 black sources naturally, a Moldering Gem, Enduring Vitality, and Centipede to find those black sources as well. So 5 ways to impending the Overlord seems perfectly reasonable as a splash. And I suppose this is going to be our deck for the return to Duskmourn Premier Drafts. So without further ado, let's hop into the gameplay, see how it does. All right, here we are on the play for game 1. We got the Overlord, so that's a pretty nasty start. We probably impending that turn 2, right? Just get that actively attacking as quickly as possible. It's less damage in the short term because the playmate's not going to be hitting in, but I feel like it's worth it. Also really good at Fueling Delirium, the mill 4 there. So Wicker Folk, but I do need to hit land 4, so we'll go for Centipede. Second red source, we've got more double red cards than double green, so I'm going to grab the second red source here. In case we hit any of those. There's Tunnel Surveyor, pretty annoying blocker. Our opponent's on Esper. Blue, white, black, good stuff. I want to return to Alara so badly. Here's Most Valuable Slayer, so Centipede gets in. First Strike helps get through the Tunnel Surveyor a lot. This is a beefy game to start it out. We're going to have a 5-5 Overlord. We're going to have a 5-4 Beastie. I suppose we could play around counterspells here and just run out a Wicker Folk, holding up a Frantic Strength. Sure. Yeah, them countering a Wicker Folk is way more chill with us than them countering an Overlord. Glimmer Burst, get a 1-1 blocker. I guess they could triple block Slayer, but then the Frantic Strength is actually goated. Oh my god. Frantic Strength is actually a great magic card? Let's go. Why did I never play it before? No, that was just a pretty lucky circumstance for it. I mean, if it was literally just +2/+2 till end of turn, it would have been insane there, so... Doesn't necessarily mean Frantic Strength is great, but did play super well this game, it looks like. Wow, they're at 13. Untapped Razor Trap Gorge. That's pretty cool, but I have a Grab the Prize in hand, so I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to play Beastie here. MVS has been the MVP so far, getting so much damage in through these blockers. These attacks would have been considerably worse without being able to first strike up one of our creatures each turn. Let's see if they've got a board wipe. I don't remember how many board wipes are in Duskmourn, but I don't think there's a lot. Yeah, unable to scream on Overlord, that's fine. Defiled Crypt is fine. Cadaver Lab is sorcery speed and they're tapped out of it. Yeah, there's the concession. All right. Very basic Gruul stuff there. Just slam down creatures and beat down. Worked perfectly well, so pretty happy with our start here. We're 1-0 heading into game 2. All right, here we are on the draw for game 2. Just gonna Wicker Folk it up, turn 2 again. Playing against mono red for now, Piggy Bank. Okay, any trade into Piggy Bank is a trade in our opponent's favor, so let's put our weakest creature on the board to trade into that instead of the Wicker Folk. Because trading into Piggy Bank, they are up a treasure token, so I still kind of have to do it. They're a red deck on the play. I can't really sit here and take 3 every turn forever, so take that trade there. I could take 3 for 1 turn and then try to get the Centipede to trade with it, but Centipede in our deck can absolutely turn into a 3/3 Vigilance, which could be pretty good. See if they want to trade Gremlin into Wicker Folk. That's a perfectly fine trade. We're killing a menacing threat that has a good card draw ability. Doesn't have any death trigger or anything. Fanatic of the Harrowing. I wonder what I'm going to discard. Spoilers, it's a land. Bashful Beastie. All right, we got a curve now. Centipede into Beastie into Branch Snapper these next few turns. They are Rakdos, so that's a deck that is likely to have plenty of removal. Oh, you know what? I probably should have grabbed my Swamp here, right? Because I've already got double green and double red. There is only one black spell in my deck, and it only requires one black mana, but if I have double black, I can hard cast it instead of impending it, which is significantly better. I think I might as well have grabbed another Swamp there. Just in case. Uh-oh. 5/6 Menace. Oh, look, we'll just top deck the Swamp. Don't worry about it. If we hit the Overlord, we are ready. Not having a good time with this Bedhead Beastie, though. We probably have to double block and manifest here. Just need an instant sorcery or enchantment in my grave, but I have no way to do that towards Delirium right now, so it could take a really long time for Centipede to turn into a 3/3 to make our blocks any better. So I feel like we probably just bite the bullet and get this Beastie out of here ASAP if they allow us. They are not going to allow us. Last card is Miasma Demon here to kill the Spineseeker Centipede and get a gigantic flyer on the board that I also can't block. Oh, probably have to get the guaranteed 7/6 down rather than spinning the wheel here. That stops their attacks on the ground for a turn, unless they top deck into removal. Cool. Down to 8, and now we can Painter Studio. They hit a Percussionist. Okay, that's fine. Moldering Gym, Weight Room. It's just another beefy ground creature. Yeah, I've got to dig with Painter Studio. Come on, good stuff. There's the Glassworks, which is exactly big enough to kill the Miasma Demon. That is quite lucky. We take those. Not really in a position to attack here. 8 life against 20. So last turn they drew Percussionist. We'll see what they hit off the top this turn. Hopefully equally or less impactful than Percussionist. That is more impactful. It's not immediately impactful, but now any creature they draw gets +2/+0 haste, and that is super scary. So I'm just going to go the only way I can guarantee that I have more blockers on this board, which is immediately unlock the Weight Room. Hold this land for grab the prize, probably. Next turn, I can grab the prize and flip this up at worst. And then I have a 5/7 most valuable Slayer. Yeah, at least I got some chunky blockers here. That gives me time to dig towards some more threats. Try to get ahead. 3 for 3, Percussionist into Courage, into Gremlin. Very good draws for our opponent, because now they have a Hasty Menace card, and we might just be dead to the 3 for 3 top deck. We'll see. Yeah, because of the Menace, I can double block there, then I can't double block that. 5/6. So they get to kill Beastie if I do that, and then this can just eat something else. 4, 5, 6, 7. I go to 1. Jesus. And that's the most damage I can stop, is it not? Yeah, that is the most damage I can stop here. Fear being hunted, that's pretty cute. Gives me the slightest chance in the world of lethaling here. Let's see, 7 plus 4, 11 plus 5, 11 plus 5, 16. Unlock Defaced Gallery. That's 17, 18, 19. Oh, if I had a tiny bit more mana, I'd have lethal here. Grab the Prize doesn't damage them unless I discard a non-land, and I drew exclusively lands. If I top-decked a non-land, I could kill them with Grab the Prize, flip up to Face Gallery, probably. Because it's only 2 mana to do Face Gallery. So I could definitely do that. So 2 mana for that. 3 mana to flip up the Fear of Being Hunted. I only have 3 mana left. Wow, if I played my land last turn, I would have had the mana to flip both of these up and kill. Right? 7 for that. 2 for that, 9 mana total. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, I'd have a 9 mana on the board. Wow. Okay, it still might not be over. I can't go for the lethal line, though. Because, right, 8 plus 4 is 12. Plus 6. Well, 8 plus 5, 13 plus 6. Yeah, it's 19. It's 19 damage. Okay. Yeah, I have to try to go for blocks then. Those are blocks. Unless they top deck another creature this turn. But now I can't really go for the next turn lethal. Man, that's rough. I don't even think that was like a punt, because I had Grab the Prize in hand, right? So I wanted to be able to Grab the Prize that land away. Like, we could have known we were gonna just hit another land there. That would make that worse. I should unlock this. Well, I'm not doing anything else with my mana. Do I have another Grab the Prize in this deck? No, I'm gonna play this land, just in case. At the very least, that is some mana towards unlocking Shattered Yard now. Okay, another land. They probably also hit a land here. I can go Fear of Being Hunted, Most Valuable Slayer combo. So I know I kill one of their creatures with my attack this turn. They have 1 Menace card. Double block that. I can block. So yeah, I killed like Percussionist here. Double block Menace, block there. They need to hit 2 hasty creatures in 1 turn or a menacing hasty threat to kill me if I do this. Which they might be able to hit 2 hasty threats in 1 turn. Because if they block with Percussionist, they get to cast a Percussionist card and whatever they draw into. So if they go 2 for 2, we're dead. I feel like I gotta put some pressure on here though. And this way, if they don't like immediately hit it, then like from next turn onward, we're super safe. Because then next turn, we're clearing out another attacker, and then another attacker after that, then another attacker after that. We would take a gamble this turn to have a safer path for the rest of the game. It was 4 top decks in a row. The turn inside out is another creature, so now they just need to draw 1 creature off the top 2 at this point. Oh my god. And it gets the Gremlin trigger too. I guess the Gremlin trigger doesn't matter. The Exile is a land. Any creature off the top kills us though, because they had turn inside out there. We might be alive. I feel like our opponent would probably know it's lethal off of any creature. Gotta make it as stressful as possible, though. It is the 5th draw the miss. That does not look like the 5th draw is the miss. This is some kind of trick. Try to trample kill us, maybe? There's nothing I can do about that. I have to block something with a 1/1. I guess I can do the double block with 3 toughness and then just a ton of toughness elsewhere. 7 toughness on the face down, 6 toughness on that. It's probably the absolute safest I can block against like some kind of trample trick. Yeah, I mean, they're all 2 power. Somewhere is going to have only like 3 toughness. no matter how I do this. All right. Wait, they're not even green. Why am I worried about a trample trick? This is gonna be like something else. Undead Sprinter. Huh? I guess they just didn't want their whole board dying to like fear being hunted. Okay, they have one card in hand. Do I just YOLO? 8 plus 6 plus 5 plus 2. So 7, 13, 21 plus 3 plus 2. I'm just gonna YOLO it. This is probably a bad idea, but this is incredibly lethal, so. Okay. Oh my god. Terrifying game, and it ends 1 to -1. That's how insanely close it was. They were one creature for killing us. Wait. They cast Undead Sprinter post-combat, did they not? How did they draw that? Did they not get to draw Undead Sprinter until a death trigger there? Yeah, maybe because I killed a percussionist and the percussionist hit the sprinter and then they cast the sprinter. Okay, I was gonna say otherwise that makes no sense. If that was in their opening hand, main phase 1, they just play it and kill us. Yeah, that was probably I killed percussionist, then they hit sprinter off that. Okay. Oh my god. All right. Whew. Crazy game, but we are 2-0 heading into game 3. All right, here we are for game 3. We're on the draw here. I'm going to have to grab the prize into our green sources, but I'm fine with the hand. We can also just forest cycle a branch snapper in a super pinch. But we have no other play on turn 2. Oh god. Get demolished by the greatest signpost uncommon ever printed. Not true, but one of, definitely in the Hall of Fame of most busted signpost uncommons. Gremlin Tamer is super, super hard to beat. There are a lot of cards that'll trigger Eerie twice in one turn, and then it's just immediately like 5 million. Oh my god! 2 S-tier uncommons coming in hot. The Sheltered by Ghosts is a brutal card in draft. +1/+, though. Lifelink, Ward 2, exile our best creature until we can kill that Gremlin Tamer. That is devastating. At least I get to kill the 1/1, I guess. So here's that. Unless they have Turn Inside Out in the hand. Full Jeskai. Okay, they do not have Turn Inside Out in hand. Reverie Gremily. Just never outrace Sheltered by Ghosts, especially with Gremlin Tamer. Gremlin Tamer plus Irreverent Gremlin triggers. Seems strong. Grab our forest, drop a 2/2. Hopefully this stops Gremlin Tamer from attacking, but now they can send in all the 2/2s. A fear of being hunted attack just trades into the fear of surveillance, so I'd rather hold it back and have the chance of stopping Gremlin Tamer here. This way they need 2 removal spells. Oh my god. That's triple S. That's like the best rating in Devil May Cry. Gremlin Tamer, Sheltered by Ghosts, Razorkin, Horde Caller. All of my favorite bangers here to demolish my soul. I mean, we've got solid blocks here, but we're going to go so low on life that it's going to be super hard to stabilize, and that's definitely what our opponent is banking on here with the all attack. Down to 9 now. That's an excellent draw. Being able to cast this Enduring Vitality now. I can Enduring Vitality, grab the prize, and hold up the Turn Inside Out. Well, I guess I don't hold up the Turn Inside Out if I do that. Yeah, I think I'd rather Vitality than Specialist here. And I'll hold up the Trick. Because I'm going to need to be able to get another blocker after either of these dies. Really need to manifest red in this position. Are we stable? Oh my god, are we stable? Maybe. Here's another blocker. Now that my things aren't summoning sick anymore, I've got the turn inside out trick here. Even if I tap out for all these, I can block and then tap the creature itself to turn inside out on it. Okay, that would have been so bad if they still had Gremlin Tamer. I was kind of just having horrific flashbacks to that. But it's not around anymore, so this is just good. Not game ending. That would have been 3 1/1 gremlins and a 1/1 glimmer, because this triggers Eerie, this triggers Eerie. Unlocking the Rotunda also triggers Eerie. The Grand Entry Rotunda is like a fantastic common in the blue-white deck specifically for your Gremlin Tamer. And the 1-drop that puts a +1/+1 counter for every Eerie trigger. Yeah, it's still pretty bad for me. Buffing the things up to 3 power, so I can't block them without losing a creature. Okay. Enduring Vitality gets to keep its solid ability on this board if it dies, but Piggy Bank has lower toughness, so I'm feeling like it's Piggy Bank here. And then for the Menace, we might just let Diversion Specialist die. No, Vitality's ability is still going to be here without the Specialist. It's just the Vigilance is kind of better than Menace right now. Yeah, I guess I do this. No turn inside out. I mean, how bad do I want to manifest? You know, kind of bad. It's actually fine. Pretty interesting in this format. The sack cards are all creatures and enchantments. They're way more often creature and artifact in most formats. Three 1/1s. I'm putting myself at a little bit of a risk here to do this, but I think this is worth it. The attack trigger's insane. Holding 1 blocker up at 9 life, but it's just 3 1/1s over there. And I could draw into a creature like this. Oh, I don't even have to. It picks up any creature from our grave? Not even one that we had just milled? That's so sick. Alright, well, I guess the Fear of Being Hunted. Grab the most expensive creature that's castable. Plop it down. Let's go. Overlord of the Balemerc Splash, really earning its place in this deck here. Turning a game where we were way behind into a game that we are quickly getting ahead. And they're still at 24 off of all the lifelink. They have the Scavenger too. They have the Gremlin Tamer and the Scavenger. They got a sick deck. But Overlord is also quite sick. I'm fine to kill 2 1/1s with Fear of Being Hunted. Especially because I get to keep bringing it back. Oh no, I got the Slayer. They really need to kill it this turn. I do need to not mill myself with Overlord. That is a potential problem. I can't not mill 4 when it attacks. Another Razorkin Horde Caller. Woo! Yeah, I like my opponent's deck a lot. 13 cards. I'm going to do this one more time, I think. Get the big trampler to finish things. Ooh, no, go to main phase. There we go. Okay, I'm not going to grab the prize. Just 9 cards left. I'm just going to play out all the lands. So I could Beastie plus another spell more easily next turn. All right, there's the concession from our opponent. Our board state is massive. It's going to take a few more swings to get there, but they see the writing on the wall, and we start this draft off 3-0 heading into game 4. All right, game number 4. Quite the curve here if we find another mountain, and we immediately did. So we have Percussionist into Playmate into Fear of Being Hunted, which has been very fun in this deck. Even just blocking 4/4 thingamabobs on our opponent's board has been real solid. All right, get our free damage in with Percussionist because they know they can just make their 1/1 a 2/2 next turn. Stop it from getting in. Glimmerlight makes the 1/1 a 2/2. We're against another blue-white deck here, so I expect some pretty similar shenanigans from our opponent. I would rather not trade Fear of Being Hunted into this Glimmer, so I'm just going to send Playmate in for that trade and post-combat the Fear of Being Hunted. Well, the counterless would pay too, sure. I will trade Fear of Being Hunted into the counterspell. Oh, wow. Trading into the counterspell is actually really good there, because Fear of Being Hunted is horrible on a board that has an Unsettling Twins out, like 2/2/2s off one spell. It's a more valuable trade to trade into their entire counterspell than half their twins. So I'm pretty happy with that exchange. Grab the prize, and then we have Delirium for the Wicker Folk, and they have to block it with both halves of the twins. Okay, I don't like those draws, but getting the Delirium is good. And we'd have to dig through these lands either way. Cool. No blocks, so that they can go ahead and put a Glimmerlight on one of the twins and still trade into the Wicker Folk. There's Inquisitive Glimmer. Okay. Removal spell, the Wicker Folk works fine for me as well. Now they are going to juice up one half the twins, the manifested half. Alright, sadly at this rate, I'm just going to have to chump block with Percussionist to dig for something that isn't a land. The draws have not been spectacular. Fear of Immobility, Beastie gets stunned. Give me a non-land, please, Percussionist. Cartographer is something, as is the piggy bank off the top. But it's not looking so hot. Pretty fantastic work from their Glimmerlight here, keeping those 2/2s into like the 3/3 range, making the 1/1 a 2/2 to trade up. Glimmerlight's very good in the decks that can spit out multiple bodies off of one card, like the equipment plus the 1/1. The two different 2/2s, the Unsettling Twins, work great with it too. Take one more damage to clear out the Glimmer here because there's a chance the face down is too big to kill with Piggy Bank. They just like flip it up and eat the bank without losing a creature. Go pretty low here, but I do think this is our best bet. Branch Snapper, so I've got maybe 2 blockers up, but maybe they've got a counter spell here. If it's the counter unless we pay 2, we have the 2 mana thanks to the treasure token. Yikes, it's more removal. They have another removal spell, we're just dead instantly. I guess I keep it and then make that my face down with the beastie when the beastie dies. Fear of isolation, the stay hidden, tap the beastie. Yep, that's pretty good. All right. That is 3-1 heading into game number 5. All right. We are now on game number 5, 3-1 here. 3-0 into our first loss. Hopefully it's not one of those classic undefeated into all 3 losses in a row, but so far so bad. We're on the draw against a very aggressive Delirium mirror match. They've got the Wicker Folk turn 2, hasting things out. On the play, trade a Piggy Bank off so we can get a green source and use that green source to get a permanent forest with the Moldering Gem. Unless they have Scorching Dragonfire in hand, that'd be pretty rough. Cathartic Parting main deck? God dang it, of all the ways, that feels particularly rough. Alright, we still have plenty of castable spells, which is part of why we kept the hand. We still get to play the Slayer here, but the biggest reason we kept it was the Piggy Bank was going to get us one of these green spells. So pretty awkward that they specifically shuffle the Piggy Bank back and we don't get a treasure. Okay, at least we got plenty of time here. I think I need to keep playing creatures to the board here. I could Impending the Overlord, but if we ever hit a green source, the Moldering Gem actually can't hit another swamp. We only have one basic swamp in here, the other is a non-basic. Yeah. Well, I think I do still need to like guarantee I'm getting more blockers on the board rather than gambling on finding a 2-drop with Overlord. Trying to think of the creatures they could have face down there. Okay, this is probably turn inside out, so I'm just gonna play mate here. Watch it be frantic strength. Oh my god. Should have double blocked. But if I double blocked and then it was turn inside out, that would be so horrible for me. I would lose Slayer and the playmate. Yeah, no, I think that was the right block with the information that we had, because if their card was turned inside out, that would have been a horrible, horrible block. Just like a game-losing block. Frantic Strength, I guess. Hello, Forest. Oh, God. I kind of feel like I have to Moldering Gem. But I'm at 11 life, and then I've got the gem with 1 blocker on board. I don't see how I possibly survive if I cast Moldering Gem right now. Do I have to impending the Overlord? I can't Moldering Gem for the second block anyway. The only way I'm gonna hard cast this, because they also shuffled my piggy bank back in, is if I top deck my black-red duel. That is super unlikely. Yeah, okay, I have to impending this, I think. And Percussionist so that I actually have a blocker here. 5 mana for Beastie next turn, and probably just casting a Beastie next turn. So we pick another one up. Yeah, because it's 2 blockers. It's a block, a manifest into another block. Oh, this is not good. Get squished by this Wicker Folk. If they hit another land, no! They get a double striking 5/4 trample. Rip. And that's practically done on board. Yeah, we die. Thus is the way of Arena. 3-0 into 0-3, here we come. This is not enough toughness. Toughness to survive 10 double striking trampling power. Yeah, we had to draw exactly the 4 damage removal spell where we die here, and we didn't draw it. 3-2, heading into game number 6. Here we are on the draw again for game number 6. It's already super bad start because obviously the aggro decks get a ton of advantage being on the play, so it's rough to be on the draw multiple times in a row. Ooh, they start with the Brood Spinner. Surveil 2, fill that grave for Delirium. It's already 3 card types. Well, see if they want to trade Wicker Folk off and not sack that later. No, they're going to take the 3, alright. John, their Spineseeker Centipede with 3 out of 4 cards for Delirium already. Super threatening. It's also a really good creature to just trade into our Wicker Folk. That stops our attacks just right in their tracks. Yeah, it's rough. We have to pass and hold up on blocks, but if I hold off on blocks, they're going to have the stronger late game because we know they have a million 1/1 flyers off of the Brood Spinner coming up turn 6. At least 3, but by the time they get to turn 6, more likely to be 4 or 5 1/1 flyers. And we will definitely die to those. Don't really have any reach in this deck. There's the Enduring Vitality to ramp them up into the Brood Spinner sack. Now, Omnivorous Flytrap is here to bomb us out. Once they hit Delirium, which they're 1 card away from, they put 2 +1/+1 counters on the board every time they attack. And they have no attacks into the 2/4 body. Take 3. They still get to keep Vitality's abilities even if I kill it there. Flytrap, Swarmweaver, I see. Alright, I mean, we don't have any outs to this in our deck. Worst case scenario, our opponent gets 3 more spiders, or not spiders, insects in the sky next turn. Just kills us with those. Yeah, it's just too much. 3-0 into 0-3 it is. Thus is the way of Arena. Our biggest issue with this deck is the lack of removal. Obviously, being able to blow up the fly trap there would have helped a lot, but then we'd still just die to Swarmweaver. Because Swarmweaver is the kind of card, even if you can blow it up, it still wins the game. And then last round as well was just dying because we do not have like any removal in this deck. So we were just getting kind of crushed with all the pressure there. No way to clear out the 5/4 trample before they started giving it double strike and stuff. So that's easily the weakest part of this deck. There wasn't a ton that we could do about that in our color pair. There was not a lot of removal flying around. I suppose once I was potentially splashing the Overlord, since we did end up splashing black, we could have taken that black removal spell early that I ended up passing, the Withering Torments. I think this deck would be considerably better with a copy of Withering Torments instead of just one of these random creatures, probably. But overall, I don't think the deck's horrible. It did a 3/3. I feel like it probably averages around a 3/3 or 4/3, but not having the removal is definitely a big issue, especially in such a bomb-heavy Prince-style format like this. So that was most of our losses. Not that we lost to a lot of bombs, but that we lost to not having removal spells to stop opponents' aggro, or in that final game, opponents' bombs and stuff. And we did win a lot of games with our own bomb. Overlord of the Balemerc, huge, huge MVP today, as well as Most Valuable Slayer. Got so much damage in multiple of these games, even without the Fear of Being Hunted combo. Sometimes just making sure the Wicker Folk could attack in when our opponent had like a 2/2 and a 1/1 on board made the Most Valuable Slayer help get those attacks in really well. So yeah, fine return to the Duskmourn format. Not a ton we could do in those losses, and I think this was a kind of difficult draft pod, in my opinion, to find the open deck, the open colors, and get a particularly good deck. So I think we did fine in the draft. But again, the most important part here is trying to get some more experience with the cards and the gameplay itself before the sealed Arena Direct this weekend. So even if there was much better to do in the draft, that's not the super important part to try to learn from and focus on right now, as the big money booster box Winnie event is going to be all sealed and not draft. So I don't know. We got some decent experience with the format. We played against multiple archetypes, had some fine stuff going on in our deck, and hopefully we'll get some more experience again soon. But for now, that is going to end today's video. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons and YouTube members for their support, as well as you for watching the video. If you enjoyed it and you're interested in seeing some more, you can always like, comment, and subscribe to tell the YouTube algorithm to send you more in your recommended feed. If you'd like to catch me live, you can check out the Twitch channel in the link in the description below. And if you'd like to support the channel directly, you can check out the Patreon link in the description below. But other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.